Hello, this is an episode of Leaders and Engineers. We are broadcasting right now from Tallinn, Estonia. I'm Eduard Tiganik, and today our guest is an experienced mechanical design engineer, a bachelor and master of mechatronics engineering with more than 12 years of experience in mechanical design and industrial automation. He's living currently in Tallinn, Estonia, and working in the IPTE automation company. It's an international company and there is a branch in Estonia. Please meet Eduard Tiganik.
Hello.
So how do you do?
Fine. Nice to see you. Nice to be a part of your podcast.
Thank you for coming. And have you been before in the different podcasts, or is it your first time?
Oh, it is the first time.
And how do you feel? A bit nervous or?
Exciting, nervous, yes.
But I believe this is in the beginning. I'll try to make sure that you feel comfortable, and then there are many interesting questions, funny questions, and there is no right and wrong. It's mainly what's your opinion. It would be really interesting for people to get to know you and also to see the flow of these job interviews. And the format of these interviews is that we imagine that there is some company. This company doesn't exist. And it's an engineering company, and you're applying for the leadership position in this engineering company. So it could be as a lead engineer, or you're a manager of the engineering department. And basically we'll switch to this job interview mode, and I will ask you like it would be questions like in the normal job interview. But at some point then I will tell you that it's over, we finished, and then I'll ask your feedback. How do you feel about this, your impressions about the job interview? Is it similar to the previous experiences and so on? Are you ready?
Yes, I am.
Super. So, hello, Eduard. Thank you for applying for the leadership position in our engineering company. Our company is producing fish training kits. For instance, fish in an aquarium can do some fitness or play football to stay in good shape. And you will be leading a team of engineers developing this product. You will see this on your screens. I'll show to Eduard how it looks like here on the photo.
Exciting.
Yeah, it is, and it's really fun for fish, I believe. They can play football. And this is just one of the examples. Maybe you will eventually propose something with basketball or different kinds of sports. But why have you decided to apply for this position?
I thought that my engineering experience could be useful for the leadership positions. I think that I'm already grown enough to take new challenges, especially as a lead engineer.
And what do you know about our company?
I know that you have a very interesting and not ordinary idea, and it looks promising, and it has a lot of challenges in the engineering field, and also I guess in the marketing.
Well, our company is really making sure that everyone gets to know us. We are growing fast, and great to know that you heard something about our company. And if you speak about your profile and what is on your CV, on your LinkedIn, I noticed that you did bachelor's and master's in mechatronics. And your title now is mechanical design engineer, and throughout your career, you were mostly a mechanical design engineer.
Yes.
So, do you think the type of work you did in your career, if you think about the type of work you did in your career, would you call yourself mechanical design engineer or more mechatronics?
I will call myself as a mechanical design for machinery. This is how I name myself. So more like a machine builder. So yes, I was studying a mechatronics in a bachelor and in the master. And in the school and in university time, I always was a big fan of cyberpunk. Actually, yeah. And this is why the robotics topics always was interesting for me, especially in the university, in the master degree time. I made several interesting projects. For example, a handicap arm, for example. This was the best project. Yeah. Yes, robotic topics was always interesting for me, and this is why now I'm working in a factory automation field. This topic makes me feel happy.
But if we speak about the robotics and then mechanical design machinery, are these different fields, or you see there are these similarities between those two? Or how would you differentiate mechatronics and, let's say, mechanical design machinery?
Actually, if we're talking about Talltech, now it is Talltech. A few years ago, it was Tallinn University of Technology. If we will go maybe 20 years ago, the mechatronics faculty, it was about mechanisms or gears and etc. And industrial engineering, it was more like a process technology. I mean, how to weld, how to cut, die cast, etc. After some years, it was changes, and it was a lot of electronics and programming in the mechatronics faculty. Then it was more like a robotics. And today, if I am not mistaken, the mechatronics faculty, it's not already part of the mechanical department. It's already part of the energy department or something like that. It's already not mechanical anymore.
Yeah, I actually remember the faculty is called mechatronics and energetics or power electronics or something like that.
Yes, something like this. So if we're talking about what is the difference between mechatronics and machine building, I think it's not a lot of difference, because today, okay, I will say like I heard the phrase that mechanical engineering it is a grandfather of the engineering, something like that. But today we cannot imagine mechanics anymore without some sensors, electrical or programming. And I would say that today, especially mechatronics, it is the grandfather of the engineering in general, because mechatronics gives you the basic knowledges of mechanical, electronics, electrics, programming, etc. And here you can choose what is more interesting for you. In my case, it was more like mechanics, because it's more like a design, and I actually like to create things, to find a balance between different variables.
But do you see that people who with mechatronics background, they can they are better positioned to lead engineers from different fields because they have kind of end-to-end overview.
Yes. The mechatronics student or engineer, it is a very good team member of the multidiscipline team, because he can speak on the same language with the programmer, with the electronics engineer, and etc. He can sum the information.
Great, and it's really nice that you're from mechatronics background, but you found your passion in the mechanical design. But still, I think you have this, even though you're more in the mechanics, you still use your knowledge about electronics, about how to put things together.
Because when I'm designing a machine or some industrial machine or something like this, I also choose the sensors, actuators, some servo motors. It's everything. It is actually a part of design, and my knowledge is in the pneumatics, hydraulics, electrics. It helps me to find the most suitable device design.
Great. So you already mentioned about your best mechanical design. Do I understand correctly that was your handicap project you did in university?
Yes.
That's from all mechanical designs you made, this is the most you're proud of.
I mean, in the university time.
Okay.
In the not in the university time, but in the university.
Okay.
Let's say like this.
But if you take university, your career, all designs that you have made, which was the one that you are the most proud of?
It's very difficult question, because actually I made a lot of design and in different areas. For example, I was working in mechanical design for marine systems. I was working in the mechanical design for the pressure vessels. Now I'm working in the mechanical design for the factory automation. I think that let's say that the biggest final assembly automated line is a great achievement.
Final assembly automated line.
Yes.
And if we talk about, you just mentioned this hydraulics, you made design, then you had this automated line. So quite different areas. And what do you think? Is mechanical design engineer has to be specialized? It's an area, or it's a universal kind of specialist. So, for instance, can mechanical design engineer make watches, and then same mechanical design engineer do design of hydraulic systems?
They are totally different persons. They are totally different. If you will meet the mechanical designer of the metal structures, for example, from the pressure vessels area, and mechanical design from the factory automation, it is a totally different person. But I would say your question was, should mechanical design have a competence in the different areas? Yes, something like this.
Yes, can be said. So can be that person kind of universal. So we have mechatronics, who is kind of across different fields. But then if you speak about mechanical design engineer, this is across different like hydraulics, watches, cars.
Well, it is impossible to be a professional in all areas at the same time. The human life, it's not enough to cover everything. But I would say that it is good to have some experience from different areas, because, for example, I very recommend you book from Henry Ford, My Life and My Work. I guess this was the name. Actually, it is. I would say that it is. Every engineer should read this book. And he mentioned here that he never took the automotive engineers to his company. It was his strategy. He took the engineers from different fields, from another, especially from the milk industry. Why? Because these persons could bring the ideas out of box. Totally.
It's actually an interesting point. I cannot say 100% sure, but more on level of rumors. But I heard that it's in the banking area. There are many people from engineering field who got hired there, and exactly to give this out of box thinking. Because if you study, probably this is standard. I have to follow the standard. But if person comes from another area and that person can challenge those standards, and ask why not?
Yes.
That's what you mean, yeah?
Yes, passion. And in general, I would recommend, yes, to have some little experience from a different areas of the engineering, and choose one area where you could position yourself as a professional in this area.
And in your case, despite of trying this hydraulics and other things, now in your case, you rather focus on industrial automation.
Yes.
And if you talk about automation, what will you choose, collaborative robots or industrial robots, regardless of the project, which is in general?
I have experience with cobots and industrial robots, and from my experience, I would rather choose industrial robots.
Why?
They are more robust, they are more fast, and the linear speed is much higher. I mean, the cycle time. Of course, it has some disadvantages, especially safety. If you are working with the industrial robots, you need to have a cage, for example, or light curtains. So yeah, safety, it is a topic what you need to care about. In this case, collaborative robot is collaborative. It shouldn't have some special cages and light curtains. In this case, you could design a more compact assembly lines, because cages, yes, they took a lot of space from the factory layout. But you should understand that if you're talking about a collaborative robot, the application itself also should be collaborative. I mean that if you will take a collaborative robot and mount a knife or chainsaw at the end, it will not be collaborative anymore. So every end tool, it also should be designed, it should be work according to collaborative rules. This is important.
But this is a current reality situation. But do you foresee in future that collaborative robots can catch up with the industrial robots in terms of precision, in terms of speed?
In terms of precision, yes. In terms of speed, I do not believe, because we could not avoid physics. the kinematic energy still makes sense. It will hit you. But maybe, I don't know, in the future the mindset will be changed, and a collaboration will be the main, how to say, pattern of the work of the factory. I mean, a common work between the machine and human.
But if we speak about our company, where you're applying for the position, so just to remind you, this basically training kit for the fish. How would you approach this mass production of this training kits?
The first question will be, are you ready for mass production today? I mean, how far you came with your product? Do you have enough clients right now to design a fully automated line?
Well, I can assure that there are a lot of fishes in aquariums around the globe who are potential customers who will want to get this training kits. So in that sense, we really need to produce a lot. So this basically we can say that automation is needed. So from business side, it's like, let's say it's clear, but now the question is engineering, how to actually mass produce this.
I would say that this product, it's I imagine it is quite small. How big is it?
Maybe like this table size.
Like this table size. I think that the fully industrial automated line, it could be something very suitable for you, because your product is not huge, so you don't need to have a huge space on your factory layout. So I think that we can to find a compromise that we could sacrifice a little bit space to build a fully industrial styled final assembly line.
But if we speak specifically, let's say, how would you choose industrial robots to mass produce this, or you put the collaborative robots? Industrial robots.
Yeah. Because if we're talking about mass production it's something about very high volumes. Yeah. So cycle time plays a lot.
Yeah, that's a very good point. And but if we talk about additive manufacturing, so how do you see? I mean, how's your experience with additive manufacturing? What do you think about its future?
Could you please explain more? What do you mean by additive manufacturing?
Like the 3D printing, for instance, any kind of material deposition technology. And why I brought this up also is, let's say, even this specific example, let's say if it's from plastic, would you still go for the industrial robot? So you think it could be mass produced with those 3D printers?
If we are talking about mass production, then die casting, something about you. So it would be much cheaper to design and produce a tool, I mean matrix, and mold this plastic. it is something if we are talking about mass production. If 3D printing it is more suitable for prototyping, I guess. For example, NPI, maybe some new products, new revisions of the design, they could be at the beginning 3D printed.
And NPI stands for the new product production. So it's, in other words, industrialization. But yeah, I definitely agree with you that right now, at this point of time, additive manufacturing might be not so fast enough, still expensive, but there is a lot of development, I know, and probably in the span of several next years, it could be really used for bigger scale projects and become cheaper and faster. All right, and I noticed the times when we worked together that you were staying quite late in the office, kept working, and here's the question about the work-life balance. Basically, what was the reason you stayed later, and how do you see, should it be that people come from 8 and work till 5, or should be more flexibility in that sense?
Yes, work-life balance is a difficult topic, I understand. I would say that it is a question of your motivation. At that period of my life, I would say that everything was interesting for me. I wanted to try this thing, to learn here. The second reason that yes, I was working as more like a designer, and design work it requires some quiet space. And if you are working in a Swedish climate, in an open office, it's very, very difficult to find this quiet area, because everything is asking you, everything is calling on you, chatting with you, and you could not focus on the design. So yes, sometimes I used to wait when everyone will go home, then I could focus on design.
But how's it now? Probably it's the same thing, right? You need this private space where no one is distracting you. So does it mean that you rather prefer to work not in an open office, have like private kind of like room?
I would say that in my in a company where I currently work, our design office, it is a very quiet space. I would say that in the morning, you very, very quietly entering the office, going to your workplace, and sit down and start to work. Nobody talks without reason. Even phones are muted, not to.
Oh, really?
Yes, and it
is
not
required. Or
it is not rule. It's
okay.
not rule. But after some years, the designers they understood that this is how it should be.
Actually, this brings to a very interesting point that quite often managers, they tend to live with a different schedule. They have lots of meetings, and you probably experience that it's quite normal to pull into meetings suddenly during the midday, or maybe it would be even like kind of short notice to pull you into meetings. Did you feel that was annoying for you, or you could quickly switch and focus on the meeting and then go back to your work?
It was annoying, yes, because it is actually unfocusing, of course, yeah. But it is not a big problem. I think, I mean, in the big company, it's like a normal way of work. But for example, in my current workplace, we have a very strict, how to say, very strict responsibilities. For example, designer is doing only design, manager is doing only management. And actually, our managers, our project managers, they are also subject experts. I mean, they can cover every team member of the project. It's really cool.
They can really go open the CAD file,
Yeah.
send to design. And
Yes.
that's nice.
Yeah, and this is why they could communicate with the client. They could speak about mechanical topics, electrical topics, and programming, and then they just will deliver this information for you, and it is perfect.
That's really great, and so basically, it's makes communication much more efficient.
Yeah.
I guess.
Yes.
Because if the person is non-technical background, you explain to that person, the person communicates to stakeholders.
Yeah, and then it is a broken phone.
Yeah. But in this case, then, if this project manager has, as you said, very good technical understanding and skills, then that manager can very well represent in the meetings, and there is no need to pull in you into those.
Yes.
If we talk about it's also related to the work-life balance, is about the hobbies. What are your current hobbies? What do you like to do besides your work?
I like history.
History.
Yes.
You read the history books or watch channels?
And not more like history books, but some articles. In general, a lot of people would say that history is not teaching you because a human is teachable only on his own mistakes. But I'm trying to understand.
And why history is like attracting you? What is attractive for you in history?
Because it has a lot of misalignments. If you will take different history books from different regions, they could have totally different information. It's for me it is interesting to find not to say true, but to build my own how to say understanding of the things.
It's actually an interesting point because this is not to believe one source. You take several sources and you use a critical thinking to basically put them together into puzzle, and find out maybe not, as you said, as the full truth, but being close to truth. But if we speak about your hobby and its history, and if we speak about your work performance, I think these two are connected, because your hobby and history helps you to do better your work.
Yes, because if you are, I mean, the human has a special, to say, human believes in what he want to believe. In general, And yes, as you correctly mentioned, it is very important to have a critical thinking of the things. In the same thing with the design. When you're making a design, you need to be, how to say, a cold blood. I mean, it's not very professional when you are trying to solve a problem or make a design in the way as you want to make it. You need to think critically and really to find the best solution, to find a balance between functionality, cost, time, and what a customer wants to receive. I think the critical thinking, a process of balancing, is something common.
If we talk about relationships with customers, and as you said, balancing this views. So probably on one hand, what is the feasible, as engineer, and to meet the demands of the customer. Have you heard about design thinking? And if yes, do you apply this?
Design thinking?
Yeah.
What do you mean by that?
It's basically an approach where idea is that you, as early as possible, deliver prototype and get feedback from customer.
It is like a startup's strategy. You do something, you receive standard, you receive feedback from the client, you're improving.
Yeah, so idea is you don't commit so much time and resources. So you understand if you're going in the right direction, straight away show first draft prototype to your customer.
I was working in this, how to say, way of work also, and my experience actually not very optimistic in this way, because from my point of view, it is very important to have technical task description. Because if you do not have a technical task description, then you should then you should write it and align it with the client. Of course, you could work with the client in a draft way, yes, to make something, send, receive feedback. But how many iterations it will took? For example, if you're creating a project, and especially a budget of the project, of the design part, then you estimate that you will spend so much hours on the concept. Then the concept will be freezed. Then you could start a detailed design. But if you are talking if you are working in a draft way, it is a high risk that you could go into the minus. You estimated that it would take 5 iterations, but it took 15 iterations, and last 2 weeks you was working without fee action. If you will align that the pay will be by hours, then okay, anything what client works, I will do.
So if I understood you correctly, it depends a lot on this commercial part agreement.
Yes.
So if this one is favorable for iterations, so for instance, like you say, the work pay by hours, then this is feasible to do.
Yes.
And if not, then basically you better not. You better get very nice, well specified document. What are the expectations of what customer wants?
Yes. because it's actually very important to work with the clients who knows what he wants. And sometimes it is very difficult to work with a client who doesn't know what he wants.
And continuing about the customers, imagine this scenario. You are leading the team of engineers, and your team developed the product, and it was released, used for some time by customers, and then customer received a faulty item. It's not working for them, and they tried to call, they tried to contact before, and it was not successful, and now they are very angry. They came to your office, they're knocking your door and demanding to basically deal with the situation. So how would you deal with the situation?
Of course, if, for example, if you are delivering a machine, the maintenance and technical support part must be agreed, definitely, because technical support, it is a regular aspect of any machine. Cannot live without that. Of course, yes, the machine should be repaired. Of course. First of all, we need to understand what is the reason that machine failed. I mean, is it a mistake of the design? Is it mistake of the exploitation, maybe, or installation? And from this point, we could go further. But yes, technical support, it is a regular part of every machine.
So basically, with this customer, you will cut down, so to say, those emotions. You will look at what was agreed before, and based on that, you will be acting.
Yes. Well, I would say that I will be acting in any case. But yeah, it's good to have a contract and understanding and to find a reason why it happens.
But let's say if it was not specified in the contract, it was forgotten, or it's like company is new and just trying out, and this was not fixed, and this situation happens. So in this case, you will basically take this to fix, and even if it's like goes to, I don't know, to minus the company. Do I understand correctly?
I think, yeah. In any case, we should fix it because it will be also affecting our reputation and relationships with the client. The machine must work.
Great. And what is your salary expectation for this position?
The difference must be 20% from my current salary. I think it is ordinary or usual difference for the employee to start thinking, changing of the position.
But what do you think? Salary of the manager must be higher than of engineer, or should be equal or less? What do you think?
It depends, actually. It depends on the responsibilities. Usually it is higher. I think that it must be higher because you have more.
Here I want to specify manager of the department where there are engineers working. So in this scenario, not just like any other manager, but the manager of department.
Yes, from my expectation, it must be well equal, but not less.
Must be equal, not higher.
It could be higher, it could be equal, but not less.
Okay. Thank you. And now we're done with the job interview. So, was it tough, or how do you feel?
I feel that this interview was a personality-oriented interview more. I didn't receive any questions from the discipline. It was more about personality and mindset, I guess.
Well, in the beginning, there were questions about how you would automate this and that, and on the mechanical engineering difference in mechatronics. But that's correct. That well, actually, from my experience, what I noticed that you might be applying for the like engineering team. Still, it's like technical field. But if you're applying for the manager of that engineering team, there will be more interest. Especially, it's considered that like, based on your CV that you some time ago were engineer, so you're experienced. Then there will be more questions on your people side, how you will handle the team, and so basically more on the soft skills. I was once told in the interview that I was coming and I was preparing a lot of technical things, and I was saying I have this experience and I know that, and this is my kind of value. And no. But how you will deal with the team? How basically these questions were more like of interest. But is it? I don't know. You haven't tried before to the manager position.
No.
But after trying this interview, how do you feel? Do you feel more confident if you like in future want to go for the manager position?
Yes, I think I feel more confident, but I definitely not ready yet to go to the manager positions. I want to be an engineer a little bit longer because I see that there is something to learn still. Always.
Do you think if you are, let's say, there's a team of mechanical design engineers and you become the manager of this team, do you think it will not be possible for you to get hands-on at some point, do some design work apart from the manager's tasks?
Well, actually, I think that that manager of the design should sometimes support regular mechanical designers. So I think it is okay that he would do some design job, and actually I think it will be a very good motivation for his team. It means that he is not only a manager, but he also a leader. He is a subject matter expert.
Very interesting comment. You can be manager, so you have you were appointed. You have power given by your title position, but you become leader if you are expert in this field. So, like team trusts you because you are a subject matter expert, and that makes you leader, right?
Yes, I think because it's very. Could be a little bit sad when manager is not a subject matter expert because he means that he doesn't understand you. He doesn't understand how difficult your current project is. He doesn't estimate how much time it could take. I mean, if manager is only asking for the result, it is a bad role model. If manager came from the engineers, yes, he has trust. He has a belief from his team. means that he understands the discipline, the work, and he could understand you much better and make a correct estimations.
Gotcha. But you had definitely experience for applying for engineer position, mechanical design.
Yes.
This interview that we had today, was it very different compared to those interviews?
I would say it is in the middle. In the middle. Not very difficult, not very easy.
No, but
It's good to know.
I mean, not difficult or easy, but if it was very different.
Well, yes, it is. Yes, okay, it is different because it is. All my previous interview, it was more about. It was discipline focused. This interview is, I feel, it is more, as I mentioned, personality and mindset focused.
And what advice you would give to visitor of our podcast who is now watching us? What advice you would give to, and most probably that the person who is watching us is the engineer or manager. There are many people, but if, let's say, if it's engineer who wants to become a leader, what advice would you give to that person?
I would say, please show your team the result of the work. I mean, show them how your machine is working. Show them comments from the client, because it is really what is motivating.
Thank you. And that was Eduard Tiganik. Thank you for watching us.
Thank you.